There is this notion in your article about comfortable Zionism being a moral abdication. It might be. I just don't have any idea what comfortable Zionism is. I just don't know what it is. I've never lived it. And I want to suggest, Peter, that it's hard for us too. It's hard for us to raise kids who care about Arabs. It's hard for us to raise kids who care about civil rights. It's hard for us to raise kids who want to stay in the country. Sometimes it's even hard for us to want to stay in the country. And I know you care about Israel. Don't get me wrong. This is not to suggest that you don't. But it is to suggest that we live different lives. And when you're in bed at the end of the day and you're just about asleep, and the phone rings, and your wife says, get it. So you get it. And it's your 21-year-old son who's in an elite combat unit. And he says, hi, and you say, hi. And then he says, I'm just calling to tell you I'm going out tonight. So what are you going to say? He's not telling you he has a date. So you say the only two things that make any sense. You say, be very careful, and I love you. You hang up. And then your wife says, well, who was it? I just said, be very careful, I love you. It was Avigdor Lieberman. Who do you think it was? So you say it was Avi. What did he want? And then you say, nothing, he just called to say hi. And she says, oh. And she rolls over and faces the other direction and falls asleep. And she goes to bed knowing that the last thing you said to her that day was a lie. And you go to bed knowing that the last thing you said to her that day was a lie. And you wake up early in the morning and you're walking to shul to go to morning minyan and it's barely light outside in Jerusalem and you've got your cell phone in your back pocket and halfway down the street, it's only a 7-minute walk, you feel a buzz in your back pocket. And you know it's a text message and you pull it out and you look at the screen and it says 3 simple words. Chazarnu hakol tov. We're back, everything's fine. And it's at that minute that you actually want to cry. Because you were up all night. You were up all night actually being angry at your kid. What did he call for? What's he want me to do at 11:30 at night when I don't even know where he is, much less what he's doing? And then you get mad at yourself for being mad at him and you say to yourself, because he's a kid. When you were his age, you were a junior. And your biggest problem in life is we're going to get to Boston to go see your girlfriend, who happens to be his mother. And then you have to pick up and get through the rest of the day. And he's going to do it again night after night, week after week, month after month. And he's going to do it because we can't figure out how to end the conflict. He's going to do it because they don't want to. I say that with no glee. I say that with no sense of triumphalism, certainly with no joy. The Jewish state is threatened. And the Jewish people is threatened. And the Jewish state is exhausted because we can't figure out how to make a deal without turning my neighborhood into what Sderot was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. We can't figure it out. So I am worried about all the same things that you're worried about. It literally keeps me up at night. But when I put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and start working on a piece, what I try to do is to remember that you and I grew up in a bubble. There were these 50 years in which Israel was not vulnerable and the Jewish people wasn't hated. And now Israel's vulnerable again, and the Jewish people's hated again. And when I write, when I turn on the computer, I think that my overwhelming obligation is to be concerned about all of the things that you're concerned about, but to make sure that in order for there to be a liberal Zionism, Zionism and the Jewish state first have to survive.